Record. There we go.
The camera on and you're on now.
I think so. Leslie, I'm going to ask you if I'm on, not that anyone really needs to see me.
Yeah, you're on. Oops, you're on.
Great.
I see you. Okay, 1 second.
I am recording, I think.
Just I wanted to see your face. Okay, forget it. Okay. Diana?
Yep, I'm there now.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to make sure you're recording. I have to go. So
I am. You have
great.
done your good work.
I did like that. Thank you.
You are my
Okay.
beautiful recording friend. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here with my granddaughter but I just wanted to make sure I got that going.
Hi,
Okay.
dear granddaughter. Thank you.
Okay, honey. All right.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you later and I'll handle it. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
This young 24-year-old was saying, I feel like my mind flies away without me. And I said, but there's always a refuge. There's always a place. As long as we're breathing, we can come home to the feet. Can you feel your feet? And he said, yes, I can feel my feet. Can you feel your seat? And with each out breath, then, can you let the whole of the body settle and relax into that Dharma seat? Of course, I didn't say that word, but isn't it the truth? What are we settling into really? The refuge of the feet, the refuge of the seat, and the refuge of the Dharma. And nothing will ever hold you like that. And then we can rest in the refuge of the hands. These hands that live the Dharma, that hug and hold and work and play. We can always come home to rest in the refuge of these hands that hold each other in the jewel of the family, the community, the Sangha. And so we sit in refuge, not homeless, but completely at home, offering the benefits of this very sitting to the end of suffering for ourselves and all beings. And just resting in the refuge of this whole body. Feeling its relationship to space. It is present and here and available. And this whole body rests on this earth. Let it settle in, let the earth reach up to hold you, draw you closer. We kiss the earth with each out breath. With those feet, with this seat, and with these hands. And with these 20 or 30 or 50 breaths, we have already remembered. And rather than just focusing on the breath, we can just feel the sense of the body and it's expanding and it's contracting, and be glad. Be glad for that bird song, that sky that is never born, and for the friends that sit with us, near and far. We touch into that home base, that refuge, that sanctuary, that shelter, that place of protection with each out breath. And with each touch, we remember that no matter how nuts we are on any day, there is always the whole, the beauty, the bird song, the friends in the sky. And we rest. And from this place of stability, from this place of wholeness, from this arriving, we remember the first of the three gems, the three jewels, this capacity to see clearly, to be free of ignorance and affliction, and to awaken. I take refuge in the Buddha. And this is not a God, this is not a guy. This is your own capacity to awaken. Breathe into it deep. And rest completely. And in the resting and in the remembering, we smile. And from that breath that rests into stillness, silence, and open space, resting. This is the requirement for seeing clearly, seeing our true nature, seeing the Buddha nature in ourselves, and seeing it and knowing it in others. From that very point of rest, we open with the in-breath to the truth of the present moment, the Dharma. Whatever is arising is also passing. Whatever is this is also that. As we breathe in, we open to the Dharma and take refuge. We take refuge in the Dharma, in the truth of the present moment, and in this awakening. And we breathe it in. And as we rest in the in-breath and then in the out-breath, and then in the next in-breath, we can begin to see more clearly the cause of our suffering, of our distress, of our anxiety. It is not the this or the that. It is not the coming or the going. It is the mind that resists. The mind that has forgotten where our true home resides, looking out, around. We look to money, we look to work, we look to accomplishments, success. We look to sex and drugs, and the seeking never ends. But there is always this in the very next out breath. We remember again I take refuge in the Dharma, one moment and breath at a time. And I remember that I can always come home. That I am not a refugee, but a refuge for myself and others. That there is space and room and the essential capacity of ourselves to create this refuge, not only for ourselves, but others, leading us perfectly to this community of friends. Not only our own interest, but in the interest of all beings. We sit. For our friends to the left and our friends to the right. We breathe good wishes. And we breathe in distress. I take refuge in this beloved Sangha. Remembering that the whole of my practice life resides with them. This is where the Dharma and the awakening come alive. In relationship. And so we breathe in the wish for happiness, for ease, for well-being. And we send out the good medicines, we send out the supplies. We send out our own awakened heart minds. And as we're breathing in the wish for happiness, for freedom, for ease, for well being, we begin to notice also where it is not. And this begins to convert our practice to Tonglen. We begin to breathe in not only the wish for goodness, for happiness, for ease, we begin to recognize afflictions, ignorance, delusion, addictions, craving, confusion, fear. And so we breathe that in as well. And we don't usually have to go very far to make contact with the truth of suffering. We can go to that left knee, the kitty looking for its treat, the barking dog, the difficulties with friends and family in the week. We could go all the way to the Ukraine. And we could breathe in for our brothers and sisters there, inviting them here and home. Into the refuge of our own being. We are all refugees, and we each have the capacity to be the refuge. So we breathe it all. And so where there is fear, we breathe it in and we breathe out sanctuary or fearlessness. Where there is aloneness, we breathe out community, connection, belonging. Where there is no ground, no home, no shelter, we offer ourselves as refuge. And then the world is the Sangha to which we belong. And of course, we don't have to go all the way to the Ukraine. We could breathe in our own aggression, our own judgments, our own hatred, our own confusion, our own grasping, and breathe out peace. And in those moments when we get turned upside down, when we go nuts, when we're confused, we can always come back to the feet. And then to the seat. And then to the hands. And we can open the heart to it all. And then we sit in this Buddha body, breathing this Buddha breath. Offering unconditional shelter, unconditional love, compassion, and refuge. And then we smile as we remember that there is never a boring sky. There is never a day that you are nuts and it stays. And that there is always refuge. Right here. In you. And if not in you, in the person next to you. May we all be filled with this source of refuge and be well. May we have peace and ease. And may we be happy. And may this practice this morning contribute.
Sitting in this chair, she's gonna take a picture of her. She ran away.
If you got grabbed in the meditation, that was Rhea, who is our traumatized cat in recovery. And this is her hanging out space. So she could feel the Sangha as well. That's big news for her, that she's getting that brave. It's pretty amazing. So then, the idea of how do we contribute to making ourselves refugees? What do we do? What do you know about that process of disconnecting or separating or leaning into what isn't versus what is? And how do you find your way back home? How do you find it? I noticed this yesterday for myself. I had an overly busy day already, right? It was already, had I looked at the schedule, I would have gone like, no, probably not today. Wrong, too many things, and a big wedding planning meeting. And Diana decides she's going to make shrimp scampi for and right after the big meeting of 2.5 more hours than I thought. And my son, Tanner, who's decided to have a crisis about a roommate situation. And there's no problem, really. Not really. This is just life and it's unfolding. Where's the problem? I believe somehow I've taken on, I'm going to have to do all that. What an ego. I gotta figure out how to do him. Then I got to get that scampi started. Then I gotta get over there to the meeting. And then, right, we gotta sit down with the map for the reception and go over where the bars. Oh yeah. And I'm just, boom, I'm done. I'm gone. And the practice then allows me to know. This is crazy. This is a nuts day. And I have contributed to its nutsiness, not because I I didn't create Tanner's situation. I didn't actually do any of that, but I did believe that it had to be me. And there all problems begin. Because now I'm not present, I'm fixing it all. You get the right there. And now I am no longer refuge. I am truly the refugee. You know, I have abandoned myself. I'm watching. See it. Well, one more, it's not going to go well. I'm saying, oh yeah, it's not, there's no chance for this. And yet, habits pervade. Habits pervade. And I can feel, can't I, for myself in that? And then I can feel for all of us who do that too. Too many things on too many days. And there's only one dilemma. It's none of the stuff at all. And as I was ending the day, I thought, what if I died like at noon? That actually came, like, it would have all been fine, by the way. It had all gotten worked out or not gotten worked out or, right, at all. It would have somehow all happened. They'd have eaten anyway, wouldn't they? Yes, they would have. The wedding would still happen, no doubt. Tanner would have figured it out because he's a pretty capable guy.
How dare them.
Thank God for them. Because then I can go, yeah, okay. Yes. Because the only thing that anybody really needed, and I'll start with me, let's start with me, was my presence. Nobody would have cared had the garlic bread not gotten made or something, blah, blah, blah. Not really.
But in the moment, it sure feels.
Doesn't it? It's very compelling.
That garlic bread, then everyone's gonna be disappointed. It's gonna be my fault.
It's very easy to get hooked in the I-ness of it all. Now, by the way, I had 8 people in the house besides, right? Like, how do you like separate that much? Like, it's me, it's all got to be on me. There are other 8 people sitting around going, right? And not only that, it wasn't important anyway. It was important that we be together in family and community, and a sense of celebration, and also some responsibility. I think that's also okay. Like, right? This is something I can hold and want to, and we can easily, I think at times, mistake presence for passivity, can't we? Or just like I get to be back here as long as I'm present for sending good wishes, or it's not quite that simple, is it? There is a responsibility in it too, but the responsibility is really to be okay oneself. That's helpful. That's pretty helpful on the path to being really then in whatever way that turns out to be, making garlic bread or not, right? That is not really the point at all. We get lost, can't we, in the tasking? And so what do you know about that for you? What's your practice tell you about where we get lost, how we become refugees ourselves?
I feel responsible for being there to take care of my patients, but if I'm not okay, I can't take on another minute. So yesterday, I didn't go to work, and I felt guilty, but at some point during the day, I said, I'm not dispensable. I mean, I can be replaced, no big deal. And the nature of my job is intense anyways, but protecting my boss at work. And so I said I was going to come in this afternoon, but I'm not. I'm not going to come. Of course, it's fine, but, you know, it's all the angst. I got all this stuff done in the morning, so I go to work and then come in. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it.
So some kind of permission, and also some kind of knowing, Carrie's saying, isn't she? Like knowing, I'm strung out or I'm getting strung out. It's not, we're gonna, and I keep buying into the storyline. I mean, I'm amazed. Like I already know I'm working on less cylinders than normal. And yet something in that egoic mind buys in again, like, nope, you can do it. Power through. I've got a lot of history for powering through. It's built right into the muscle. And boy, can I. Boy, can I. But it's not because it's good. It's not because it's of benefit. In fact, my son Tanner, this is the evidence for that. He stays after everyone leaves to give me a hug. Why? He sees the suffering. Right past the garlic bread, right past the salad, right past the shrimp scampi, right past the meeting he sat on the floor listening to, right? It kept going like this. You know, like, yeah, this is.
Touching things.
Tanya, I couldn't hear you.
Touching things.
Yeah.
So finally, and watching everybody else discuss the situation
Right.
in such a kind and passionate way.
Yeah, he was present.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, he was there.
He was
His mother was
like,
absent, but he was there. Yeah, he showed up for the thing. Right. And how to then recognize, you know, the truth of refuge then, beyond the capacity to see clearly, beyond the truth of the moment, and within it all, is how do we have compassion rather than just blame or judge or criticize that very affliction? How to really feel for myself in it. And recognize for me yesterday, what Tanner helped me see is how that suffering didn't stay with just me at all. It went right over to him, right over to him. And that's always true, by the way. All of our harried, all of our hurried, all of our gottas, all of our, it's not just with you. This is the truth of the Sangha. It spills. It is. And it's very important to recognize it, because guess what? Even if I wouldn't change it for me, I am going to change it for him.
I could see that even with my grown children, because they come over. I'm trying to get things on the table. They're like, Mom, just come sit down. And I feel I have to get this. I have to. They're like, we don't care. Just come sit down.
Yes, they don't care. There's no doubt about it, because they don't care about the garlic bread. Who does? They want you there. Every holiday, I think my grandmother, who cooked for 25 to 35 to more people every holiday, insane, really insane, did it by herself. We never saw her for that holiday. I barely saw her face, because she was turned towards the stove, then turned towards the kitchen, and then running to get the cookies she'd spent 3 weeks before that making, right? I never actually saw the woman besides the back of that apron tie. So I have a lot of deep love for that. the efforting of that, but I would have much preferred her.
We didn't even have a seat at the table for my. There was no need.
Didn't even have a seat at the table. Wasn't it true? You didn't need one.
She wouldn't say.
They weren't there. They were in,
Still felt them all the time.
yes.
Sure.
They
Right.
weren't always around. And as you ate that meal, as you were sitting there, and when they finally did sit down, they were there with you present.
If they did,
Felt them.
yes. I knew the love was there. I would have liked to have looked in the eye of it. And I would have traded the garlic bread for that.
And my mom with sparkling eyes. Got to see them before the end when she was not in the kitchen. Amazing.
Yeah. Right. It's not because we mistake that the love isn't there. That's not the love is there.
The ego's pretty sneaky.
It's the ego's pretty sneaky,
I was thinking, you know,
isn't it?
when we're in the dysfunction, yeah, it seems so obvious. But then after we successfully navigate whatever the challenges were, I'm this, and we bathe in ego, and that is as dysfunctional as the other.
It's as addictive, isn't it? It's just another addiction. I knew it in the morning. I actually saw it and ignored it. But I saw first thing when I got up at 5 o'clock to get to Rotary with my new friends for visitor day, to be the community service chair, to then go to the 40 other things I did. And I was doing just that. Look at this. I pulled it off. I got the people there. I got the thing. I got the community service going. I got the house build warming up. And I saw it then. By the way, I saw it and I went, yeah, good. But it was right there. It was already in its seed form. And this is useful also, isn't it? Watch yourself congratulating. Watch yourself in congratulating, because boy, it's usually the beginning of a bit of a setup. Look at me. And it's addictive. It's addictive. Carrie's acknowledging hers. Like we can't do without, who's going to die without her? Yeah.
Say I definitely stepped back with all the chores and duties and responsibilities of a job that I've had for many years. It's for self-care, reflecting, and acknowledging that I am acceptable. Here I am handing off the job to somebody else, which rightfully so, because it gives me more free time to take care of myself and things I need to do. I've not acknowledged or done. And seeing the other doors opening to do that self-care so that I can be a better person, not just for myself, but for other people. It's an interesting couple of weeks that changes occur. There's a part of me that's looking at this ego that had to be acknowledged or accepted for some strange reason that as well.
I had a thought and it left. And that's probably better. And can we feel for ourselves in our vulnerabilities, in the mistaken identities that we wear? Right, those mistaken identities. I'm as good as the right things I do. It's we're supported, continuously. And our new religion is money. And so in that religion, it is, right, that is godly. Making money. And not that money's not helpful either.
Money and scamping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
money, scampi, and garlic bread.
Okay, there you go.
The
I actually wrote a story
killer
the other day,
combo.
and I paid in cash, Uber money, and the lady looked at me, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you actually have money?" And my sarcastic remark was, "Yeah, I guess I better spend it all now before it doesn't mean anything." I just kind of fell out of my mouth with that. And it struck up another interesting conversation with myself at the cashier and the person behind me. I mean, it's not funny, but it is in a way. The way you want to be seen.
Taking care of ourselves is, isn't it? It's a part of the practice we frequently don't. We talk about the practice, but ultimately from the practice, which is why I want people resting each day for some amount of time. For some amount of time, 60 breaths or more in that mirror, in the mirror, so that you can see how we contribute to both, right? Making ourselves, offering refuge to ourselves, and also contributing to making ourselves refugees, disconnected, separated, and tasking. I think it's so easy to get lost there.
And Lisa wrote something about that. She says, it's when I start obsessing over the outcome and I find myself driving towards it versus being in it.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's right. Right. Yeah. And we can be the refuge, can't we, the whole way? Doesn't mean we're lumps of coal. You can be refuge even then in the doing. But the doing is, as Lisa's saying, present moment oriented, not, and then I've got the, right, and then this gets accomplished, and then I get that.
It's somehow you're
Result.
chalking up the tasks as it's your worth, right? If
Yes.
you don't get that done, then somebody's going to say, oh my God, you're just a slacker.
Yes, you are going to say.
That's me.
Yeah. And then you say, you're just a slacker.
Well, I think it's the power of not doing on others thing. I think I've been going through this divorce, and the woman who I was with was just super grindy about everything to be clean and various, and I find myself kind of, sometimes I'm in the house and I'm going, like, I've got to clean that, or else I'm like, or else what? You know, like, what do you think's gonna happen? You know, but I just, so I'm coming out of that, but then my son, Roman, is like, he's pretty much a doer, but he's been in his room, like in that 16, 17-year-old room cave out scene all spring, like doing nothing to me, right? Doing absolutely nothing. And it's funny because I think there's a lot of power in doing nothing. And so I just recently, I mean, it was interesting. So and he always knows where I am. He always wants to know where I am, but never wants to talk to me. He just wants to know where I'm around. So I really just like sat on the couch the other day and did, because I'm usually scurrying around doing like other people, you know, doing stuff. But I just decided I'm just gonna sit on the couch and just read, because and who comes out of his room? Mr. Cave Out. Just, hey mom, what's up? You know, like I just think sometimes there's a power in not doing anything.
That's right.
You're available finally.
Right. And it's like this
Aren't you?
like, has, you know, my mother was that mother. She made, you know, every year we had the cookies, we had, you know, hardly in her chair, you know, but I guess we define everyone, you know, by doing. You do, you complete, you task, but I think there's so much power in not doing. And it's funny because even though I had a schedule much like yours yesterday, but I think my son, who had not talked to me for like during 16 to 17, I don't even think he talked to me much, but he called me from college. He goes, Mom, do you have a second just to talk? I was like, just, you know, my whole world kind of just blew up in like this nuclear happiness, you know, and I just immediately just stopped everything I was doing. I sat down, I said, sure. And he really just wanted me to listen, which was great. But I thought, you know, there's just, I don't know, I just some really fabulous things around just stopping and
Yes,
grounding out with nothing,
that's right.
you know. I'm still a little suspect of what Roman's doing in this room. So. I'm like, what are you doing in there? You know what? I really don't want to know.
You don't really want to know.
Yeah.
No.
Shut the door. You don't want to.
Shut the door. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, do I have to
You
clean
can
it?
clean that room when you go to college.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
well,
God.
I'll be there for you.
Yeah. Well, I got one who's already left, so.
It's not just accomplishing, but you know, my wife's going through a pretty significant loss, of course, and I figured, well, this is a perfect time for me to just quiet and be with her. But she has moments, but then she gets on her cell phone and reads about horses, and it's scrolling through all these wonderful things about horses. And I know that's okay. It's just it's a break for her. This grief, this intense grief that she just can't completely bathe herself in continuously. I get it. It was
That's
horrific.
That's right.
And
We
so,
all need refuge from that as well.
yeah, it's grief is okay in doses. You know?
That's right.
It's got to be kind of rational.
So specific, like not too much. Well, don't we all know this? I mean, haven't you ever been there with a friend who is doing something and you're going, you know, I'll just be with this friend doing whatever they're doing. And two things I've noticed happen from that. One is that I'm just truly there with the friend and they're doing, right? And just be really being with them, and whether you're doing it too or not, it doesn't matter, because there's really some kind of presence of you in it. And then there's that other kind of doing, my dad called it the Windex moment for me, which was I jump up, see something on the counter and grab the Windex. And he would go, sit down, just sit down. Right? That's different, isn't it? That's distraction. That's uncomfortableness within the non-doing. That's not at home in some way with oneself, but it doesn't have to do with the Windex. See, we can't mistake it as a Windex problem. It's not a Windex problem. It's a Windex mind problem. And what's that? I'm right. The addict is ready. We'll get to something. Go do something somewhere. So it isn't even in the doing, really, that we are lost, because ultimately from the Dharma, held within the awakened heart mind, we will act. We will. But it not out of the habit, not out of the me-ing, selfing, or othering that we do. So it's just something for us to be a little, bring some awareness, maybe to, as I was watching myself, making myself refugee yesterday. And thank goodness with enough practice, remembering the way home.
And I think ultimately it is all okay, it all works out.
Yeah. You gotta, you notice the breath and the not breath. It's both, and they're both valuable. You're seeing the scurry, you see the Windex moment, you see the gotta be me, you see the.
But I was thinking of carrying kind of the guilt with not working. And,
Yes.
It's like, that's always the hard thing. I don't know why this got scheduled, but I had a 5 o'clock interview yesterday. Like yesterday on Friday at 5 o'clock, I had to interview somebody for a job. And I decided I was going to try to wedge a beach walk between like 3:30 and 5. And so I went out there and I did my walk, my 2-mile walk, and I was coming up the stairs and I was about to pass out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I have 9 minutes until I get to the interview. I have to be in the camera, on the camera, I'm sweaty. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I thought, just stop freaking out. I'm going to pass out. So I stopped and I called the guy. He goes, oh, it's no problem. I said, I'll be about 15 minutes. But I think it's like, but right there, I was like so caught up. I'm not gonna be on that time. I'm not gonna do it right. But I think it's so great when you can just like stop and go, give yourself what you need just for this moment.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yes, it is. And why? Because there will be a day when you are not here to fix, do, accomplish, make happen. It's all true.
Why do you think this huge bar above our heads that is like completely, I don't want to say nonsense, but it's unmeasurable. Why do we do that to ourselves?
Self-making mind.
And
Self.
at the end of the day, it's like everything gets done the way it's supposed to happen without our hands putting it in there to muck it up.
Or it doesn't.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like at the end of the day, it's
Right?
pan out.
Garlic bread, no garlic bread. We're probably all going to be just fine. The suffering was not from its presence or its lack.
I would have been completely aggro. I want that garlic bread.
Well, evidently so was I.
You should take it this way.
I got Libby up like,
I'm trying to delegate.
I didn't see any left.
no, there was none, and there was
It
none.
was absolutely,
Well, see,
it was
it's yeah.
absolutely amazing.
crack addicts, invite everyone else to the crack. That's the way that works. Okay, so anyway, I do know, Pete, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about your, we have a few minutes and I wanted to make space for that.
I feel like I've been talking for 2 months straight, so I don't mind listening.
That's nice. Good.
Yeah, just a moving train. I built it, pushed it up down the hill, and just kind of hanging on. It feels like in a lot of moments, it feels like I know the ultimate truth is that there's refuge available in every moment. I'm also very much looking for bigger moments or more obvious moments. That don't feel like it has to just be a couple breaths.
Yes.
And I think I've created some of that space this week. So.
Nice. I have every confidence in you and all of us finding the way to that. And also that creating space for yourself by Pete has been on our board and has made a decision to come off the board skillfully, I think, necessarily rightly. And I want you to know that I support you completely in that. We all do. We do know because we've all been in that. There are many of us who have significant careers and significant accomplishments and significant desires about what to create. And yes, we both need energy, time, space for it and space from it, right? Space for it and space from it. And we are going to be for you that space from it. So I want you to know that there is refuge truly for you here. So
It's Ben and Deb.
Yep, that's right.
What did you say, Jim?
Right, there is always
Original members
space.
of the board.
Yeah, yeah. And I've had actually many conversations recently with Ben. And he does, by the way, just speaking to that Sangha piece for that moment, he does very much feel a part of our community. And even though they're not here, and that's really not the point. They continue their practice. I do hear and get an opportunity to see them directly. And so just know, here or not here, here or not here. But I will bug you. Also,
Or somebody.
Or somebody. Yeah.
Somebody's
We're
gonna-
like,
it's not going to be that easy. Not that easy.
we're gonna do a check-in.
Not that easy. Yes, you can, truly. All right, group, why don't we sit for just a moment? We're going to rest once again in those three jewels, the capacity of each of us and all beings to awaken. We breathe in to the Buddha to be and the Buddha that is. And we settle into the Dharma seat, arriving to the present moment, knowing that it is here with the awakened heart mind that the truth is revealed. The truth of our goodness, the truth of our interconnectedness. The truth that our presence is enough. And in that rest, we are held in the community of friends. Those who love us, those who care for us, those who will be here for us always. May we remember those three gems. And when we forget, can we simply come back to the feet? Feeling the earth beneath us, remembering that we are always held. Can we remember and breathe into the seat, knowing that it's in each moment that we take a stand and take our seat in this life. And then to that heart and hands that manifests that goodness. And may we remember that it always matters. It always matters. And may we find our way to rest so that we can see what to do that is of greatest benefit. May we all be well. May we all be safe. May we all have peace. Thank you all. Thank you. Pete will be in retreat May 2nd through 7th. Hopefully you'll be able to come sit with us if you're around.
I'll be leading my own retreat between the 1st and the 5th,
That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Good.
but not a silent one.
No,
I'll be talking.
no, you will be talking. So maybe if you're home on the 6th,
Yeah.
maybe you just come debrief.
Yeah.
Debrief. I'd love to see you anytime.
If anybody wants to come do Russian, Ukrainian Pizanki eggs, I'm gonna be doing it for kind of the next couple Sundays, as long as I'm not working.
On Sunday?
Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, it's like an open house. My daughters are coming over, but I'm gonna continue to do it every Sunday for a while in honor of Ukraine.
It looked, I need sort of basic instruction. I need basics.
Made beautiful.
Yeah, what is it?
Carrie does
Full of
too.
pictures.
I watched one year and it was just Pizanki, is it called Pizanki? Pizanki eggs. They're wax,
It's a real.
drawn and wax. They're amazing.
they grade it.
Look, she's got a picture of them.
Oh, I made that.
Be well, everyone. Good to see you. Carrie's inviting everybody to the house at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Be there. Pizanki eggs. I'm bringing champagne. That's all I know.
There you go. And they were all agree.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Be well, everyone.
Yeah.
The orange dye